We're just taking a look at the rain and the thunderstorms developing down in South Dakota and then also into North Dakota as well. We did have a special weather statement out for these storms just northeast of Bismarck, between Bismarck and Carrington. So there was some hail out there earlier. And in fact, interestingly enough, if I can back this up, I don't know if it'll let me, but oh, there it is. Yeah. If you take a look out there, there was actually a tornado report 9 north of Litchville, a thin rope tornado seen. Looking west about 3 miles from the intersection of 44th Street Southeast and 106th. And touchdown was brief. That was around 9:04 p.m. Central Time. So I was watching that a little bit earlier as that was going through. Noticed, boy, there was looking a little bit interesting as far as the rotation. Actually showing up a little bit on the radar. But they didn't, they just had a severe thunderstorm warning out. But sure enough, there was a little something that developed out of that. Now that cell has weakened considerably as that's moved to the north and east. And then we've got had this little system north of Bismarck that had a special weather statement due to some small hail and frequent lightning associated with that. And that one continues to move to the north and east, but is also weakened somewhat as well as we move over to the actual Bismarck radar here. And they haven't issued a warning on that. And I think part of the reason is it's so, it really isn't a very large storm. It doesn't go very high in the atmosphere. It's very compact. So it looks like it's going to be frequent lightning and just some smaller hail associated with that. And that continues to move to the north, northeast is basically kind of the movement on that. And it looks like these storms have the possibility of continuing to the night as they kind of move to the east northeast. So Carrington, New Rockford, maybe Cooperstown, Mickville, eventually Grand Forks might be seeing some of these storms late tonight into early tomorrow morning. And I'm just trying to figure some stuff out here. Sorry, 1 second. 1 second. There, better. So these storms are expected to move to the north and east, kind of through the night. And as we take a look at the NAM 3-kilometer model, a little bit further to the north from probably where it's going to carry. I think the way this is looking, it's, you know, you can maybe draw these storms a little bit further to the south from what's actually there. But basically envision that and see kind of the movement, how it moves to the north and east, northeast. The main thing we're kind of watching as we go back to our radar, and the SPC Storms Prediction Center has put this little mesoscale convection discussion down here for a severe thunderstorm potential. And the reason being is we've got a pretty good low-level jet that sets up overnight. And we've got plenty of warm, humid air already in place out ahead of this. And so we're looking at some storms developing eventually down in the south central, southwestern part of South Dakota. And that's going to move to the north and east. So areas from, once we get into that Phillip and Pierre, see, once you kind of get into Huron, Chamberlain, possibly up, then eventually to Aberdeen by 6 a.m., Mowridge as well. So we're looking at the possibility of they're probably going to be issuing a severe thunderstorm watch here at some point once this low-level jet gets going. I'll kind of show you what I mean here. This is the current 850 millibar winds. Once I get them pulled up here, you're going to see a little shading that's going to pop up here right there. So right within this, you can kind of see this nose here. And that's where that low-level jet is going to be setting up. That's at about a kilometer and a half off the surface. And that's going to be nosing up further north. Now, we already have the higher dew points in play. We've got, temperatures, or excuse me, dew points in the 50s and 60s here. As you can see, 60 here in Chamberlain. A little bit cooler, of course, once you get a little bit to somewhat into that rain, but still further east, 55s, mid 50s, upper 50s. So there's moisture to work with, and then actually more moisture as you get a little bit further south. So eventually this nose of this low-level jet is going to take some of this moisture and jam it in here and just get things kind of cranking. So we're already seeing this down here by Scotts Bluff, and more of this is going to increase and just, continue to the move north and east overnight. So probably looking at a severe thunderstorm watch eventually being issued. They're looking at the possibility, if you can get a discrete enough storm, of possibly up to 2 inches in diameter. So that's a pretty good sized storm that's going to be associated with that. So if you're kind of down in that area, if you're down in the south central parts of South Dakota later tonight, just be mindful, we are looking at the possibility of some severe weather popping up and moving fairly quickly to the northeast. Now, eventually by 7 a.m., maybe some of this could make its way into southeastern parts of North Dakota. So once you kind of get into that Gwinner and Wabaton, eventually maybe Fargo, you might be dealing with some wind and hail in the morning. And then it just continues on to the northeast. I think by 9-10 a.m., it's going to lose a lot of its punch as far as severity goes. But we're looking at a pretty wet start to your Monday overall for quite a bit of the area for the Dakotas and Minnesota. Perhaps once you get later in the night, later in the evening, Monday evening, there might be a few storms developing down in the southern parts of Minnesota, because there's, we're going to be dealing again with plenty of moisture down there, with the dew points well into the 50s and 60s by that point. So yeah, mid 60s, even 70 possible, and almost a bit of a dry line sort of showing up in through here. So wouldn't be surprised if you're going to be seeing some storms pop up down in the south central, southeastern parts of Minnesota later Monday. I know the Storms Prediction Center does have a little area kind of hatched out for the southeast as far as possible severe storms. And most of that they were talking, I believe, is going to be hail and the strong winds. So Mankato, Farmington, Lakeville, possibly those southern suburbs, maybe making it into Rochester later Monday. We're talking late Monday evening is when some of those storms will pop up again. I think mainly we're looking at hail and some stronger winds. Let's peek on over to the Storms Prediction Center. I just want to double check to see what else they might be talking about there. They might have a little hatched area of a tornado, not a hatch, but yeah, a small chance in the far southeastern part of Minnesota for 5%, and then just a 2% in through here. So a chance, but not, to me, tornado wise, it doesn't, I don't think it looks like a great chance for that, but let's, you know, we got to double check those things. We got to take a look. Stronger parameters a little bit further south. By that point in the evening. And I know this update said Dakotas. Dakotas haven't quite taken off just yet. We're just taking a look at the possibility of severe weather down in Minnesota. Later Monday. Where it looks like maybe there's the possibility, you know, of a tornado threat down in that far southeastern parts of Minnesota. Why do I say that like that? Minnesota. Down in Minnesota. I sound like a, I don't know. I sound like a DJ. Hey, down in Minnesota. The 500 millibar jet actually is way further north, so not the best place. You know, when we're talking about possibility of tornado down here, not the most, you know, not the 500 millibar jet stream is much further north now. Looks like the lower levels is better because you've got the strong 850 millibar winds out of the south. So maybe some of those very lower level winds might be cranking a little bit, but boy, not lining up real great. But I guess there's the potential down here. I think especially given all the moisture down there, the heat that's going to be down there, they're going to be very, very high Cape. So when you do have some of these explosive thunderstorms and just some rotation down there, there's the possibility. So we'll just get something to keep an eye on later in the day down there. But for now, we just got these storms north and east of Bismarck that continue to just kind of spread and move east-northeast. That's going to be continuing through the night. So again, kind of Carrington, New Rockford, Cooperstown, probably eventually into that Grand Forks region late tonight, early tomorrow morning. Some of these storms are expected to kind of continue on. Maybe some small hail associated with it overnight. Maybe a brief severe with that as well. Then you also see that one kind of further down by Ashley. Same kind of deal. Just kind of some smaller hail possible with that. But maybe it might briefly reach severe levels. But I think for the most part, we're going to remain under the severe category for most of the night. Big area we're going to have to watch is down in South Dakota. Again, as this low-level jet kind of gets cranking here later tonight and pushes further into South Dakota, bringing in some of these dew points. As you can see, these numbers down here, plenty of upper 50s and 60s that are going to be nosing in here through the overnight hours. So this is just going to be jamming its way in there and just forcing its way into South Dakota. And once that just kind of pushes and says, you know, here I come, it's going to be blasting off some thunderstorms across southwest and into central parts of South Dakota tonight. Again, most of those are going to be hail and some wind is kind of what's expected, but I think mostly, it looks like the main threat's going to be hail, possibly up to 2 inches if the right cell sort of comes through. If it's discrete enough, meaning if it's sort of by itself, it's got the potential of reaching a little bit larger. But that's going to be kind of the main threat as it moves to the north and east overnight. And as always got to give that caveat of, I'm sorry about my slow computer. Yep, there it is, folks. Everybody wanted to wait for it. Everybody knew it was coming. Sorry for the slow computer. There you can see the storm is kind of developing overnight, according to how this model wants to fire them. Take a look at one of the other ones, see what the latest update is. And we always got these models that are kind of constantly updating. And they try to take in the most current conditions as much as they can and incorporate to what's currently going on and take their models and basically rerun it every hour. So they're a shorter range model, but they kind of give you an idea, maybe a little bit better, especially convective wise, of what's going to be coming. So here you now at this point you can see it kind of keeps the stronger storms a little bit further in the just right along the southern border of South Dakota, and then eventually then increases a little more by 4 a.m. and begins to move to the north and east. So maybe hugs that southern border a little longer before it really kind of makes its way into Chamberlain and Pierre, eventually through Huron and Aberdeen, and then up into eventually into North Dakota, possibly, like I said, kind of that Edgeley, Allendale, maybe Watertown, Gwinner, maybe region Fargo by 7 a.m. And it's possible some of these storms could continue to be severe. I would think maybe by this time we're looking at still the hail, but also wind as well. And boy, that really, that's interesting. That's different compared to what the last model was showing. It really wants to keep those storms rolling on. And by this point, we're getting into that 9, 10 a.m. time. And a lot of times we lose that low-level jet that's been driving these storms by this point. And so kind of what happens many times, anyway, is they just kind of collapse and they become just this big rain and a wind event associated with it. And I think probably that's more what we're going to be in store for that for central and northern parts of Minnesota by late morning hours on Monday. But interesting, this one kind of maybe keeps the strength going a little bit longer than that other model was showing. At any rate, it does push it to the north and east pretty quickly after that, and then it's just going to be kind of a miserable rainy type of day through most of the morning, at least in early parts of the afternoon. Then this model kind of wants to redevelop some storms in the north central parts of Minnesota later in the day, which I would assume would be possible if we do clear out and we get some of that moisture kind of left over. A lot of, when these rain showers and these storms move out, kind of prime some of these areas. And you're going to hear me talking about that kind of through the summer. When you get these storms moving through and they move out, well, now it's kind of left a puddle of moisture, if you will. And then the clouds move off and it warms up, and it's just, you've all felt those days. You've all felt those days when it quit raining and the sun comes out and oh my gosh, it's just hot and humid and miserable out. So I can see the potential for maybe some late day storms firing up into northern parts of Minnesota, maybe even northeastern North Dakota as well, if it does manage to clear out. But anyway, we do, the main focus tonight are going to be the storms down in South Dakota. And there you go. There is a watch. There's the watch. Severe thunderstorm watch. Expires at 6 a.m. Wind gusts of 70 miles per hour. Max hail 2 inches. Storm's going to be moving northeast at about 45 miles per hour. Hughes, Hyde, Gerald, Jones, Kingsbury, Lyman, some of the counties involved with this particular watch. Issued a severe thunderstorm watch for northern Nebraska, south central into eastern South Dakota, effective Sunday night and Monday morning from 11:45 p.m. to 6 a.m. Central Time. Primary threats include scattered large hail, likely with isolated very large hail events up to 2 inches in diameter possible, isolated damaging gusts to 70 miles per hour, elevated supercells are expected in the next couple of hours across the northwestern parts of Nebraska and subsequently spreading northeastward across south central and into eastern parts of South Dakota throughout the early morning hours. Once again, hail up to 2 inches in diameter and an isolated wind gust of 60 to 70 miles per hour are possible with the most intense storms. The severe thunderstorm watch area is along and either side of 50 statute miles north and south of a line from 80 miles west-southwest of Valentine, Nebraska. So these are kind of aviation coordinates. To 10 miles south of Watertown, South Dakota. Let's see here. 10% probability of one or more strong. So they're saying there's a very, very slight chance of a brief tornado with this. 3% chance of one or more wind events of 65 knots or greater. 20% chance probability of 10 or more severe hail events. 60% probability of one or more hail event of greater than or equal to 2 inches. 40% prob of 6 or more combined severe wind and hail events. That's at 80%. So, yeah, there you go. Oh, geez, I always forget this. I gotta change this. I gotta change this when I'm in severe mode. Automatic swing switcher. Let's see if this works. See if this is gonna go. So there you go. There's the severe thunderstorm watch in effect. We'll take the discussion down, as that to me no longer is precedence. The thunderstorm watch is now in effect. And you can see these cells developing, and much like that model was showing, eventually kind of moving to the north and east through the nighttime hours. Now, some of that's going to have to be kind of watched, I guess. Is maybe that northern extent. You kind of saw what the last model did. Is it eventually moved it into Pierre and then Aberdeen and then up into southeastern parts of North Dakota. So be interesting to, I guess, to see if they adjust this at all overnight. But I know given the mid-level winds, let's see, 700 millibar winds. Let's take that down. Well, that's not what I wanted. Well, let's see here. There you can see the storms popping up on the satellite down into northwestern parts of Nebraska. And then you also kind of get a sense of that storm kind of northeast of Bismarck as well. And you kind of got this one down in Ashley. But some storms starting to fire up down and through here, obviously, and you can kind of see the motion off to the north and east with that. But what I wanted to take a look at was the current conditions. So we're going to put you back over here. We're going to see how well the scene switcher works. Yeah, boy. It's going to be interesting to see how these really develop overnight. Here's those winds down in the south, and pretty much where, I mean, obviously it's going to line up to what it was showing on that satellite, or on the radar rather. And you can see how the nose of this jet, as I kind of move the forecast along here, just all of a sudden just really gets cranking into southern and eastern parts of South Dakota overnight. And that's really what these storms glob onto, is this jet that really gets cranking through the nighttime hours. So be interesting to see. I think I am not the expert at all. We'll see how far north, if it makes it kind of out of the northern periphery of this watch box or not by early morning hours. I got another special weather statement with this one up here. Northwestern Eddy County. Nickel-size hail radar indicated minor damage to outdoor objects as possible. So that's kind of that bad boy between Cheyenne and New Rockford. The thing that's kind of got me concerned. I don't know if you'd call it concerned, but lack of a better word, I guess, is you've got these storms down here. And you've got that low-level jet that really wants to crank things up into South Dakota. But we already got some good moisture into the area, good dew points. But I would suspect what's going to happen is through the overnight hours is that as it does kind of get things moving more into South Dakota, I suppose what's going to happen is even though we've got some decent dew points in here currently, and we have some of these storms popping up, I would expect as these storms fire up more here, it's really gonna rob some of this moisture from, any kind of severity happening later in the night. So, but just kind of interesting how these storms just kind of continue to linger on through the early part of the night. And we've got a little bit of hail going on in Rockford. Looked like some earlier Ashley. Then we've got this one kind of by Pettibone Tuttle that continues to just kind of move east, and probably just going to be a big old rain event with some small hail associated with that. And then we'll head down to Rapid City here, but where we're expecting more of these storms to develop as we have a severe thunderstorm watch out across north central parts of Nebraska and into south central and eastern parts of South Dakota, as these storms are expected to continue to develop overnight and then move to the northeast and spread eastward. So that's basically what's going to have to be watched. All right, time is midnight Central Time. I've got some things I need to look at early in the morning, so I won't be on too much longer. So, if anybody's got any questions, please ask. Plus, I think I'm bugging my daughter downstairs, so I have to talk quiet. Sometimes this works and sometimes it doesn't. And I don't always understand it. All right. I think I'm going to bug out and end the stream for now. And we will see people in the morning. Good night.